Gosh, I need to clean up all this trash. But am I gonna do it today? No, I'm not gonna do it today. Got too much to do. I have to work on copper here. I know what you're thinking. It's about daggone time! I know. It is time. Because I'm tired of seeing him sit. I mean, I let him sit so long that he's starting to grow back the moss that he had whenever I first got him. Not only that, I had to take out a bee's nest this big that was underneath the toolbox, and that wasn't fun. Welcome, fellers, back to the channel. I know it's been a little bit. I've been busy, had some things going on. Tried posting a little bit more on my short form content. I finally got the names the same. I figured out that, you know, if I have one name on my TikTok and another name on my YouTube, that some people don't know who I am, you know, just by looking at my face. By the way, if you want to check me out over there, Cornbread's Gospel Garage. Go figure. If you're new to the channel and you don't know who this is Copper, my 1986 F-150 that has a 300, 4.9, inline 6, 1-barrel carburetor. It does have dual exhaust that I put it on there, but basically I saved him from a place that was his grave. He had nothing but, you know, stuff piled in the bed, trash, wire, cans, bones even. He was pretty much just left for the grave. Now, what special thing do I have planned for Copper to get him running better? Because as you all know, we're dealing with a never-ending vapor locking problem that's very irritated, and I've tried everything that I've could to try to fix it the way that it is now to get it to stop, but it's chose not to stop. Well, maybe if you done it right in the first place, don't even say that. I mean, is there really a right way when it comes to these old trucks? I mean, I got a hand right here, and I'm not afraid to backslap you. Hey, I'm just saying, if maybe you went this route, you wouldn't have had to worry about this in the first place. I mean, you bought these parts for a reason. Yeah, you're probably right. So with that being said, let's take a look at these parts. All right, guys, I'm not sure if I've showed you this just yet. Maybe you haven't seen it, but I went and I bought a 4-barrel carburetor just for Copper.
Because to me, burning a lot of gas for only a few minutes has got to be the same as burning a little bit of gas for a whole hour.
I bought it off my buddy. It is used. It's a Holley 600, so it might be a little big, but with the plans that I have for him in the future, I think it'll be all right. Not only that, the little bit of extra gas mileage that I'm probably not going to lose is just going to help it on the power end. So it's a Holley 600. I don't know if it's got like a special name. All I know is my buddy told me that a guy that he worked for wanted it on a Chevrolet, and he put it on the Chevrolet, and then it wasn't on there that long. He took it off and ended up putting an EFI system on. I'm hoping that that doesn't mean that that's the route we need to go, which it could be a route for later on, but not for right now. I mean, I'm just wanting to get the thing to where I can at least, you know, drive it and enjoy it. Because right now, with the vapor locking issue, I can't go nowhere without it, you know, putting me on, you know, the edge of the road, having to go out there and take water and putting it all over the fuel lines and everything else. And that carburetor is, you know, managed by a bunch of vacuum lines and a junky system that Ford tried to do, and it just don't work. So I believe putting that on will definitely help take care of it. Not only that, got me an Offenhauser 4-barrel intake, because you need something to put the 4-barrel on, because you can't put it on that intake. Also got a Spectra AutoZone special, carb spacer. It needed it. Now, one thing that I'm going to have to end up doing later on is I'm going to have to end up getting some kind of cable or some kind of linkage for the kickdown rod. I believe they sell a cable that you can put on, I think, the C4 and C6 transmissions. And I believe this one has the C6 because it's a later model Ford. So we'll get that and we'll put it on later on. But for right now, get out of here, you devil. But for right now, we're not too worried about it. The biggest thing is I want it to run, I want it to drive, and we'll worry about passing gear later. I got various, wiring pieces that I bought, relay for the fuel pump. Never done that before, but going to do it. I got, 16 gauge wire. I got 14 gauge wire. I bought this fuse holder to go to the fuel pump as well. I bought weatherproof, what is it called? What are these things? Parallel connectors. I got an extra gasket. I got clamps. I got, at least over 20 foot of 5/16 fuel line. Because if you remember, since this truck is so new, it has, the quick disconnects. So we're going to get rid of all that junk, and we're just going to put this on here because, 4 to 7 PSI is not that much. So rubber fuel line will be fine. Another thing we got is a 1-wire distributor. This is not a fancy Summit $300 distributor. This is called the Amazon eBay Special.
I'm so broke I'm starving to death. The only reason I look fat right now is I blow myself up with an air hose before taping these commercials.
I've seen a few people buy these. You do have to take the oil pump drive rod out of the old one and stick it up in here. And they said that whenever you put these on here, that you kind of have to work with them and kind of have to, push them down, just a little bit and turn them. And I guess just wiggle them a little bit to get them in there. But it is going to clean up that motor so much. Speaking of that, let's get over here and I'm going to show you pretty much everything I think we're going to take out, or at least we can. All right, so we know the 1-barrel carburetor's going. Manual choke, that thing's going. It is junk. I'm going to tell you, I've heard a lot of people say that manual chokes are the way to go. This one right here has been junk since day one. It never pulls out right. Right there where it hooks up, it's flimsy and everything. I could never get it to do what it's supposed to. So I basically just had to put the choke plate to where it was just, open all the time. And it's a good thing that I rebuilt the carburetor, because at least it had enough fuel, for it to start up, fairly easy. The only issue that I have with startups is, 1, my battery's no good, and 2, where I have this return system hooked up, and I hooked up this return system myself, every bit of the fuel that's in the fuel line goes back into the tank. So it has to re-pump all the way through those lines. Now, am I going to leave this set up? Probably, because having a return line system does help. And this fuel filter right here, going all the way to the back, I put, brand new fuel line and that new bung in the back, and it's pretty much JB welded in, with that fitting that basically didn't crush the right way. So taking it out ain't really an option. Mechanical fuel pump's going to stay, but I'm going to be taking the lines off. It's basically going to be my block off plate. That distributor's coming out. I'm keeping the wires because the wires are basically brand new. I put them and the plugs on not too long ago just to see if it would help. But the ICM's coming out, this coil's coming out, and basically everything to do with that system, including those vacuum lines and whatever vacuum lines that come over here, this upper intake, and the manifolds. And why I'm doing the manifolds is because I got these puppies over here. I got a couple of split manifolds off of a newer model EFI truck that actually came off of the block that I have inside the building. I just have to get the plugs, take off the connectors, pretty much, seal up where the oxygen sensors went. And that's pretty much it. Those things will bolt right, right up. And here's the style fuel pump that I went with. I can't, turn it any other way because it's leaking oil out. But, this is what I went with. Just a Holley brand, and it actually cost me a little bit. I'd rather go with something like that than something that's going to leave me on the side of the road. I believe the best place to start is just to take everything out, you know, take out what we don't need, so that way we can have a clean slate on what we're looking at and what we need to do. By the way, if you haven't yet, this is your time to like, subscribe, share this out, smash that bell, do whatever you can so that way more people can see more of this cornbread content I'm trying to push out. Now let's get to working on this thing. That was about a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes for y'all. It took me about 3 or 4 hours. But just look how empty that engine bay looks. We still got, you know, all this to clean up, but I'm going to be doing that whenever I go to put the parts back on. It has been a hot day, especially, you know, working out here in the sun. I haven't got no shade. I plan on putting a lean-to on this building since I built this ramp, you know, just for the time being, so I can at least have some shade. Right there is the intake that I pulled off, and that thing was heavy. So not only is this whole setup right here going to add horsepower and torque, but it's also going to make it more lightweight. I would like to buy new hardware, you know, just to put the intake on, but you know, that could be something I could do later on. I can clean up the old hardware and just reuse it, because that motor that you see sitting back there, that's going to be the motor that's going to go in copper. I just have to go through it, rebuild it. I'm going to balance it. I'd like to get it bored 30 over if it ain't already. I want to put flat top pistons in it. I want to put a nice cam. It's also got the upgraded, you know, style head, which adds a little bit more horsepower and torque, and it kind of flows a little bit better. Once we get that one in there, I think this will be a good daily driver, and it'll have plenty of torque to pull what I need and plenty of get up and go to get where, you know, to get me where I need to go. I believe I'm done for today. Next week I'll start on getting this thing put back together and, you know, getting all the things that needs to be done on it. So with that being said, I'll see y'all next week. What is the deal with all these bees? I'm telling you. Well, fellers, it's another beautiful hot day. Probably too hot to be doing this outside, but we're going to go ahead and get what we can get done. I had to go pick up intake and exhaust manifold gasket because I forgot about it. And I picked up a throttle cable. I believe it's for a later model pickup, but it's going to work with the throttle cable bracket that I bought at the parts store. It's got this square hole right here that it's supposed to work with, and this end looks the same, so I don't think we're going to have any issues there, and where it goes on the gas pedal looks the same. I believe the only thing we'll probably have to do, which, you know, I can get that anytime, is get the little, you know, ball that attaches to the carburetor that you can push the throttle cable on. I think we got everything that we pretty much need for now. Going to try to get as much as we can get done today. I believe this is going to be a part series. I'm thinking ahead for the future to try to get out more content, okay? So that way I don't go 3 months without making a video. I think our objective for this video is to try to get this intake and exhaust manifolds on. Maybe try to hook up the throttle cable, and maybe set down this carburetor on there to see how it looks. Now I went ahead off camera and I put the distributor down where it's supposed to go, but I believe I'm going to have to turn the switch a little bit, or I'm going to have to turn the motor while somebody is pushing down on it, just because it's not seating all the way. You know, it's just being a little bit stubborn, probably like its owner. My wife would agree with that. All right, where you at? Guy here, you devil. Bees are just out everywhere. And boy, do they love taking up spaces that they do not need to take up. I mean, they will just find a place and be like, this is mine now. You better get out before I sting you. That's enough yapping. I believe I'm going to go over here and get a couple bolts in this gasket just to hold it up there. And then we'll see if we can't try to put the manifolds on. Get out of here. You see what I'm talking about? Just fly right by your nose. They don't say excuse me or nothing. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, we're going to try to get this gasket on here and to see if we can't get these manifolds on, and then we'll put the intake on. I figured we lay this gasket up here first, like so. And then we'll probably try to put the front end piece of this manifold on first, and then we'll get the rear one. I got me a couple of pieces of hardware. That ain't right. Ain't right at all. I think I got it upside down. What in the world? Okay. So I guess it goes like that. Okay. Yeah, it does. Or does it? Did I get the wrong gasket? Huh. Maybe this way. Oh no. Yeah. Maybe. No. This way. Well, I mean, that's right on one side, but it ain't right on the other. It's about like it needs to be flipped over. And it can't be flipped over, I don't think. Well, what's going on here? Okay, there we go. Guess I just wasn't holding my mouth right. Now we can see if we can try to get this one in here. Alright. It's pretty close to that alternator, but I believe it's going to work. Don't tear my gasket. We're going to have to get it squeezed a little bit on this side. Then we might have to, put this one right here. It maybe goes in the middle. Oh, Lord Jesus. Maybe it'll sit there until I can get that other one in there. All right. Now let's see if we can't get this bad boy on. I believe that, you know, we're going to have a little bit of a battle, but I don't know. I'm just going to see before we put it up on there how much of a battle it's going to be. All right, come on now. Yep. How'd we know that was going to happen? All right. There, right there, is problem number one, and it's going to have to be took care of. See right there where the small pump bolted up, it's not allowing me to go enough that way for it to get where it's supposed to be. I'm going to take care of that right quick. I'll get back with y'all and let my phone rest for a little bit because it's hot outside. Alright fellers, it took me about an hour to try to figure out the configuration of everything, but I believe I got it on there. There it is. Went ahead and threw the spacer on there with the gaskets. I'm getting ready to throw this on there. The only thing that I didn't care for is how little the old hardware basically grabbed this intake. So there's a couple places that I put some bigger washers just to make sure it would stay on there. Now we're just going to set this carburetor on here. And they say to run it with the primaries going towards the engine, but I don't know. It just seems to sit better like that. And I would think that, you know, the throttle would sit probably in this hole or maybe this hole. I wouldn't think that it would sit all the way down there, but they probably make it with that many holes so, you know, you could figure out which one you want to use. I do have to buy the kit in order to adapt, you know, my new throttle basically to this thing. But other than that, I think my choke wire is right here and I could just hook it up, you know, straight over there, and honestly I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's gonna really matter, you know, which side the primary's on. The only thing is it might get to the, you know, the engine a little bit faster if I had it turned around, but that ain't gonna matter. You know, it'll get gas when it gets gas, and I think I like it better this way. Now I'm gonna put the hardware on the carburetor. I already got my, you know, throttle bracket on there. I just have to tighten it up and everything, but figured we'd go ahead and throw these on here so we don't lose them. Now putting these carburetors on ain't that bad. Then once I get that, and you know, about where I want it, I can adjust this to where it's tight, you know, and then tighten this up, and that should be good to go other than this. And then figuring this out is going to be putting that throttle bracket on there and then getting that piece I was telling you about, and then we'll, you know, figure out the rest. There's vacuum lines, fuel line right here. It goes to both bowls. That's what this line is right here, if you don't know. And we do have to seat our distributor over here, which that ain't gonna be nothing. Battery's dead, so see if I can't get a jump pack and maybe get my wife to help me, and she can bump the starter while I push down on it, and maybe it'll fully seat that way. But other than that, I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna get back to you. All right, fellers, I think I'm done with the carburetor and intake and exhaust portion of this for right now. I got my throttle linkage hooked up and everything seems to work. I had my little girl get in there and press on the gas pedal, and I believe I'm gonna have full throttle, so I believe that's gonna work. I put my return spring on there, and I think it's got a place for that kick down cable whenever I get it. Went ahead and unhooked my fuel lines. The only thing left I have to do is I have to get that distributor to seat down, and once I do that, I believe I'm done for today. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to turn this crank. Push this down at the same time. There we go. Oh. I believe it just seated. Yep, it's down there. Whew, thank God. Well, fellers, I believe that's going to do her for this week's episode of Cornbread. I forgot my name there for a minute. I was going to say Cornbread Crap Boxes, but then I remembered I changed it to Cornbread's Gospel Garage. Anyway, you get what I'm talking about.
You get what I'm talking about.
Today, Junior!
You're smelling what I'm stepping in. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tune in next week, and we'll see if we can't get this thing done and see if we can't drive it. By the way, if you've watched this far, make sure you like, subscribe, share this out, smash that bell, do whatever you can, so that way not only you can see this cornbread content, but other people can too. And with that being said, remember, Jesus loves you, I love you, and we'll see y'all fellers later.